To quote the notorious B.I.G., if we want to make a change, or if you want to see a change, we got to make that change first.
During the same summer that two billionaires made private space travel a reality, NASA pledged $18 million to STEM diversity. But what's that look like behind the headlines? We got the opportunity to sit down with Edward Gonzales, Diversity and Equity and Inclusion Lead for Heliophysics at NASA Goddard campus. This is what he had to say.
My name is Edward Gonzales. I work for NASA, born and raised in Los Angeles, and I now live on the East Coast in the DMV, which is DC, Virginia, and Maryland.
Welcome to Driving Change from the inside.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And Michael, when I met you, your energy is just off the wall, crazy sick. And I thought, I'm listening to you speak when you did that presentation at NASA, and I'm like, oh man, me and him are going to be friends, man. There's no doubt about that. We're going to be brothers. We're going to be family.
Eddie, you're the best, man. Tell us about what it was like growing up in LA.
Oh man, it was interesting because where I grew up, it was like, and I'm going to age myself for a minute. It was like Leave It to Beaver. It was manicured lawns, really nice neighborhood. Grew up specifically in West Covina, California, which is about 18 miles east of Los Angeles. So growing up until about the age of 8, it was just this beautiful, amazing place. And then the neighborhood started to change a little bit and started to get a little more, let's see the word I'm looking for, gang-related, if you will. And the neighborhood really toughened up. And then you really needed to change the protocol of who you are and what you are. You had to think about things that you normally didn't have to think about. Hey, I'm going to go ride my bike. Well, then it was like, okay, I can ride my bike from here to here, but if I go any further, I'm going to put myself in danger.
Have you been able to unpack what happened? What was the shift from going from this picturesque neighborhood, I'm assuming it was a diverse neighborhood, or to a dangerous neighborhood? What happened?
Growing up, it was a combination of, wow, this is amazing, and not feeling anything, but quickly went from crayons to handcuffs, if you will, in a very short time in that neighborhood. I think the thing that happened to me that changed everything, it was a game changer, and it really ruined me academically, was I was coming home from baseball practice. I was almost 14 years old at the time, and as I'm walking down the street, pretty soon I see about a dozen police cars coming down the street, barreling towards me. And I thought, wow, somebody did something bad. And they were coming for me. They brought out their shotguns, their handguns, their K9 unit. There was a helicopter, and I didn't move fast enough for them. So I was on the receiving end of some police brutality that morning, or that afternoon rather. And then they stuck me in their car and, handcuffed with no explanation. I had no idea what was going on. And now, mind you, I was scared. I was young. I was, 5'5", 110 pounds. And nobody would explain anything to me. Now, mind you, I had just lost my father prior to that, so I was still stunned by that. And of course, the evolving change of the neighborhood. And I'm thinking, my goodness, what is going on? Turns out there was a burglary in the neighborhood, but the person that did it was 6'4", in his 30s, blonde hair. I didn't fit the description at all, but for some reason they decided to do that. Now this is what I'm talking about, needle changing here for me, because a lot of teachers and a lot of families and students saw what happened to me that day, and everybody assumed, oh, Eddie deserved that. Eddie was doing something wrong. And pretty soon it was like, don't hang around with Eddie. And teachers would not help me at all. If I was late because I was pulled over by the police, they'd say, you need to go tell your story to the office. No one would listen to me. So it really had a domino effect that one day of being harassed, complaining about it, and then I paid the price for it through my high school years. So now I'm working at this law firm in Los Angeles, and as we had talked about before, Michael, the Rodney King incident. And because of that, the city of Los Angeles developed a commission called the Christopher Commission. I was a coordinator for that commission, not the coordinator. There was many of us, but it was an opportunity for me to see a lot of things that were happening within the LAPD, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, but also, and this is key, the lack of diversity that was going on at the firm that I worked at. Now, I was a person of color, but when I look at the firm as a whole, there wasn't a whole lot of people of color there. It really was, for lack of a better example, a good old boys club. It really was. And right about that time, I started figuring things out. I started thinking, if I'm not in a position to make a difference here, and they made it clear that they weren't going to make those changes. They made some changes and suggestions for the LAPD, but within their own house, there was some things that needed to be cleaned, and they weren't. By then, I had enough experience, not academia, but I had enough professional experience to get an interview at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, working in their education office. And again, my passion is working with underserved, underrepresented communities.
So you make the move over to NASA. This is in 2001?
Correct.
If I did my research correctly? All right, so 2001. And so what did the landscape around diversity look like at NASA back then?
That's a great question. So I remember being in a meeting, probably like the first month that I was there, and I was looking around the room and thinking, I am the only person of color here, you know? And that was weird because there was a lot of people in that room, right? We had our hands tied initially on some of the things that we were able to do, you know, make a suggestion here, make a suggestion there. So it was very slow moving. But then something magical happened. In 2008, I want to say, a memo went out. It said, if you have any piercings, if you have any tattoos, if you've got pink, green, purple, whatever color your hair is, we want you to bring your personality to work. Feel free to be who you are.
From your perspective, how important is allyship in this movement to drive change?
One of the things that I'm really excited about is that our leadership, and not just in heliophysics, not just in my division, but as a center, they want to make a difference and they want to make a change. And they know, because I mentioned to them, a lot of conversations we have are going to be uncomfortable. And if we're not uncomfortable, we're not talking about diversity. As NASA continues to collaborate and partner with a lot of these organizations, and it lets them know that, you know, we're here, right? And you're going to know about internship opportunities, early career hire opportunities, you know, mid-career, so on and so forth.
So is there any education for the white people?
That's a great question. So the people that work at Goddard, specifically, the white people, if you will, they have been amazing to say, we're not here to say that we're going to make all these necessary changes. We're here to listen. What is it that we can do to be a better ally for you?
The last portion of this interview, we're going to turn to the future and your vision of what's going to happen. You know, play futurist here. So, you know, what changes do you expect to see at NASA over the next 12 months?
I won't say I expect. This is what will happen, is that there'll be a new hiring process, and I absolutely will see more diverse employees working at NASA, and not just working at NASA, but also working in positions of leadership. And I'm already seeing that now, and it's amazing seeing this thing slowly happen. And again, it's not going to happen quickly. It's not a microwave. It's going to take some time.
So at NASA, give us a sense of like what groups come together to move the needle forward and put the processes in place.
So again, it's got to come from above. It's got to come from, you know, our leadership. They've got to be champions of this, and they are. You know, it's that type of thing that is going to improve and make people feel important, make people feel safe, make people feel equal. And the affinity groups are playing a huge role in that. So around 2003, I'd been with the agency a couple of years, and I was in a town hall meeting, and the director said, I can't remember the person's name right now, but they said, this person is going to NASA headquarters to work on a detail. Man, let's give it up for that person, right? So everybody got up and clapped and, you know, good luck, you know, make us proud. And And I'm thinking to myself, I want to work at NASA headquarters. I want to be on a detail. And what would keep Eddie Gonzales from doing that? So the first thing I did was I asked that person, hey, I'd love to buy you a cup of coffee tomorrow. Would that be okay? I'd like to ask you some questions. The person said yes. And they told me what they did to position themselves to get on the short list of being a detailee at NASA headquarters. So after I did that, I then started to network with the right people and put myself in a position to raise my hand to say, if there's any special projects or missions in regards to minority serving institutions, underserved, underrepresented communities, and I keep saying that over and over, I would love to be a part of it. I'm really passionate about that. And then in 2009, that's when I got the phone call. You know what, Eddie, I don't know if your ears were ringing or not, but we do have a detail out here for you if you'd like to come and do this for, a period of time. And did I manifest that? Kind of did, right? Because it was something that I really wanted and I saw, but I also saw it as an opportunity to let the people at headquarters know what I was doing. And I've developed a network there as well. And some people still work there that I talk to all the time. And they listen to me and they take my calls, which is really important as well.
It seems as though you don't limit yourself.
Right. People are afraid to put themselves out there. It's like, well, if I raise my hand, what if they call on me? No, I want you to call on me. I want you to. So I'm not going to raise my hand like this. I'm going to raise my hand like this. I want people to know that I'm there, but my intentions are good.
So is there anything else you'd like to add for those out there in science or otherwise who want to see change within their industries?
Yeah, to quote the notorious B.I.G., if we want to make a change, or if you want to see a change, we got to make that change first. We got to do it. Our network is our net worth. It really is. There's other non-traditional ways of people of color, underserved, underrepresented communities. They just need the opportunity. And we want to make sure that we give them those opportunities, at least tell them about the opportunities.
So Eddie, what legacy do you want to leave behind?
I would really, really like to see it not becoming a thing, that diversity, equity, inclusion is something that obviously that we demand, but it doesn't need to be discussed in the way that we have to discuss it now. And what I mean by that is that it's just, well, of course, that's how it is. Everybody feels safe, as they should. Everybody feels equal, as they should. It doesn't matter where they come from or what they're wearing or the color of their skin. I would love for it not to be an issue.
It's our hope that by making content like this, there'll be young black, brown, and otherwise underrepresented kids out there who may not have a cousin or an uncle or someone who's been in had even the proximity that you have, or to the belief that they could work at NASA. So to that person who's interested in science, interested in STEM and aeronautics, what advice do you have for them starting out their career?
Yeah, that's great. Is that you're going to get what you put in, and I say that by saying this: if you want to be an astronaut, then what you're going to do is all of the things necessary to become an astronaut. You're going to check all those boxes, okay, and then some. It's the and then some that is going to get you to where you want to be. So my 4 points that I always tell students: 1, your network, that's so important. Your character, your brand, so important. Your skill set, are you ready to do what you need to do when they call your name? Are you ready? You need to be. And then finally, your grind and your hustle. What is it that you're willing to do today to make tomorrow happen?